I think at CEPR we are especially eager to sort of invest in people who are relatively early in their career so that they can become tomorrow's experts on economic policy.
So for that reason, I've decided to go with...
We had 10 Stanford undergraduates working on different aspects of this big project, and they focused on different areas. Maybe it was defense or tax policy or some other area, and tried to assemble data that could be a resource for us to use in the course this fall. By the end of the summer, we're flying up to see Steve Ballmer in his office to present, and they've been working hard on this, but this is for them probably putting them a little outside their comfort zone. I think they felt a fair amount of adrenaline. I mean, they had heard a bit about Steve as an energetic person, and can be a little tough, a little challenging at times, but yeah, they all did really, really well.
We had a great group from Stanford. What the students worked on was part of that corpus of knowledge that we're asking people to analyze and then apply their political judgments. The class we're teaching essentially is what are the segments of the government and what is the data about what the government is doing in certain areas and what outcomes. We're asking students, you can have opinions, but we want you to ground your opinions in the data that comes from the government.
I want to read the numbers. I take nothing out of context. I believe nothing.
The title of the course is Measuring the Performance of Governments in the U.S., and in it, we're trying to just get a sense of how well governments in the U.S. are doing. They're spending $6 trillion a year. It's a third of the U.S. economy in terms of GDP, and it affects many things that we care a lot about. That this is going to change, and to some extent, at a high level, we're hoping in the course to give the students a framework to evaluate are governments in the U.S. doing a good job or not so good, and where are the areas that are obvious naturals for potential improvement. One goal is to try to get today's students more engaged on these issues.
And so what we're really trying to do is let people explore and think about the issues of government and society that are most important to them, but through the lens of real numbers.
The truth of the matter is, it's a game of competition.
I'm really enjoying the seminar that Mark Duggan and I are teaching. We got a bunch of bright, energetic, passionate young people, which is great.
This class, I really am not sure where things are going to go. It's basically a 3-hour discussion between Steve, me, and incredibly talented Stanford undergraduates. And many of the issues that we're discussing are really, really controversial, and people do have strong opinions on one side or the other. And to see students at this stage who are in just their second year at Stanford getting into these same debates that the leading thinkers do on either side was, to me, incredibly rewarding. And I think after they are done with this class, they will have a much deeper understanding of many of these big issues.
But what other things would you say, look at
Steve looks at things somewhat more from a business perspective, and I may be looking at things from a somewhat more academic perspective. I think different points of view are very useful because two people looking at the same data can interpret it somewhat differently. And I think that's useful for students to see. One strength that I think we both have is the ability to process a large amount of data and try to figure out what are the key important patterns in that data and what lessons might you learn from it.
How exactly does fiscal policy affect the economy?
I think people consistently underestimate the incredible work that young people can do, people with brains and commitment and energy. I'd say bet on the bright young people around Stanford University.
What these students will do with this knowledge, I can't be exactly sure, but I have to think that the payoff of that to society could be really high in the future. I don't think any of these students will forget this experience. I think when they look back 10 years from now, they will remember either the work this summer with Steve and me or taking the class. We spent a lot of time and effort on this, but it's clear to me that this is a way that we can really make a difference.